So it's been a little while since my last video. I was slowly building up replays to show off the Shakudoh Mode deck that one of the players brought to the Premier Series. But then the update for Battlefest purged all my replays, so I had to re-record everything. So yeah, that's why it took me a little bit, but I have my replays now. So today we're gonna be playing the Shakudoh Mode Abyss deck. So let's look at the deck list we're playing for today first. So this is the list we're playing for today. It is not original, obviously. This is the Shakudoh Mode Abyss deck that Team Reject Gaming brought to the Premier Series. The idea is to keep most of the deck 2 to 3 cost cards so that you can get Shakudoh's effect to activate, which acts as your finisher, because otherwise Mode Abyss doesn't have a very good finisher right now. And other than that, the non 2 to 3 cost cards, you're running 2 Supplicant and 1 Congregant just to make use of Mode's power. The whole point is Shamnacha's Faith. Get some pretty powerful plays out of this, plus Supplicant just helps you get your Mode count early on. And helps you heal as well, which is very important. And then your main late game that you use to survive until you can play Shakudoh is Itsurugi and Taketsumi. They do basically everything. They clear your opponent's board, they heal you, they draw cards, they chip damage so that you can look for a Shakudoh finish. Yeah, that's the idea for this list. Yeah, let's look at some games. So our first match here is against Haven, and we are going first. Usually for Mulligan, Devotee Supplicant and Shamnacha and the castle are guaranteed keeps. Otherwise, if you're playing against aggressive matchup, you want to keep early game cards like Outside, and if you're not playing against an aggressive deck, you want to keep card draw like the 2-cost spells that draws a follower or like stuff like that. So obviously early on the main goal is quite straightforward. You just try to get your Mode count up. Against some decks this can be very difficult, against other decks it's quite straightforward. You do have to budget your removals for early game a bit against aggressive decks because this deck doesn't have a very good early game. This deck's main weakness is the early game. If you manage to get Shamnacha active and right into the late game, you are honestly usually in a decent position, I think. Here we go ahead and use these Devotees. Devotee isn't that useful in this matchup because Haven has big followers mostly, so this AoE isn't going to do very much for us. If you're playing against a more aggressive deck like Sword or Artifact Portal, then we would consider being a bit more conservative with Devotees, but for now we can just go ahead and use it as is. Opponent will poke me in the face here. Really weak turn from them, which is quite good for us. Gives us time to get our Mode count and set up. We drop the castle here to draw into our deck, and of course we are going to use the Devotee as well, make a big follower that my opponent has to deal with. We don't want to make it too easy for them to set our massive board because that can allow them to run away with the game if we are not careful. One goes for Zoe here. We will use to clear my Devotee, sorry. And with Zoe's crest set up now, plus this Worshipful Crusader on board, we can expect next turn is going to be an absurdly difficult board to clear. So in order to set up for that, what we want to do is make sure that we are ready to play Shamnacha next turn, because we are probably going to be forced to play Shamnacha next turn to deal with their board with her super evil effect. So for now, we focus on getting our Mode count up so to make sure that we can drop Shamnacha next turn safely. So we go ahead and evolve the Supplicant, even though it's a bit of an unnecessary evil, I suppose, otherwise. Unexpected outcomes Verdelia as well. We will go ahead and super evolve their Verdelia to get the crest. And we'll go ahead and hit our Supplicant here. Obviously we don't have a very good way to clear this board right now, but we can try our best, I guess. So we go ahead and draw into our deck here. Pick up Supplicant. So we go ahead and use the Fanfare. I was going to use Bittersweet Departures to do the 3 damage instead, but since we have Supplicant, we want to use it here. The reason I want to play Supplicant is because next turn we're probably going to be spamming Itsurugi and Taketsumi. And since Supplicant is a 4-cost card, you can't really pair it alongside Itsurugi and Taketsumi. And we want to get these 4-cost cards out of our deck because of Shakudoh. So we want to get rid of anything that isn't 2 or 3 cost to maximize the chance that Shakudoh will actually do something. So that is the idea here. We draw Shamnacha here, of course, to activate her Faith effect as well as Super Evolve. Unfortunately, we do have to steal the Verdelia and Castel here, even though you don't really want to, just because it's the most threatening follower on the board. And we do leave a bunch of followers on board, which isn't great for us here. One follows up with another Verdelia and Castel here. And they will super evolve the Crusader as well, which will allow them to chip me damage or hitting me in the face, which is not ideal for me. So of course we got Shanasha active, so now we can go ahead and use our Itsurugi and Taketsumi. Hopefully we pick out Wills United off of the draw here to get rid of both of their followers. Is the idea here. Unfortunately I do whiff it here, but I pick out Tyrannical Fist and thankfully they are lower than me, so we go ahead and use this Tyrannical Fist to chip them down. Okay, hopefully look for a finish to Shakudoh at some point. Opponent is gonna go for their Edith Voice of Heaven here. Thankfully they're out of evil points, so we don't have to worry about Gilnali, so we don't have to play around Drain, so we can just go ahead and play quite straightforward here with Tatsumi and Itsurugi here. We're gonna go ahead and clear their board while we draw. And we can use this Wheels United to get rid of the Edith here. And then just trade. The reanimating Shanasha here just makes it a little bit more annoying for them to drop Olivia, I guess. Opponent drops Vera, which I think most people are cutting Vera right now. Unfortunately, we're actually not very good at clearing this Vera right now. We could... There are ways to clear it, of course, in our hand, but most of them cause our Super Evo, which is very not what we want to do right now. So since they're pretty low anyway, I figured that with Shakudoh here, we've already played one Supplicant, I believe. Oh, we played both Supplicants actually. So right now the cards that aren't 2 or 3 cost is the 1 copy of Verdelia in our hand, 1 copy of Itsurugi and Taketsumi, and 1 copy of Congregant. So I figured the chance of getting 2 pings are pretty high. And it's my best chance at this point since I don't have Itsurugi and Taketsumi in hand to try to deal with this Vera with. So I just went with Shakudoh here. And thankfully I do manage to just kill them off the Shakudoh here. So that's it for this game. Our next match here is against Sword. Aggressive matchups are quite bad for us. But hopefully we can deal with it somehow. So we go ahead and keep the castle and the devotee here. Just toss the rest, not really very useful. Opponent drops Orchestrated Silence here. Thankfully no Quick Blader on turn 1, that would have been annoying. Just go ahead and use castle to draw. You want to find ideally outside to help us clear board. It's our best board clear tool in the early game. The opponent is gonna drop the Sharp Ear Operative here, which is fine. We're gonna go ahead and use Screaming and Loading to pick out a 3-cost spell, hopefully to find something to deal with that early aggression. Outside is the best of course, but worst case we can deal with the 3-cost spell that does 6 damage. I forgot what it's called. We'll go ahead and use Outside to clear it here. From next turn onwards, we do have the Devotee to answer with AoE, so we're not too worried about spending the Outside here. And then we'll coin the Metronomic Medic, which is fine. Not too threatening. We'll just go ahead and set up Devotee here to get our mode count up, because that is our main game plan here. And we have a castle here we can go ahead and draw as well. Just trade. This is quite a bit of a high roll, which allows us to activate our Shamnacha on turn 6, which is quite strong. Against Sword, honestly, it's not that bad to save your Shamnacha turn for like turn 7 instead, in case they drop what's his face, Cesar. Because without access to Taketsumi and Itsurugi, we have a bit of trouble clearing Cesar. So there is an argument for saving the Shamnacha for that turn, but not like I have anything better to do this turn, so I go ahead and just drop Shamnacha here. We do get a Chaos Cycler, which means worst case we can reanimate Shamnacha off of this to steal Cesar if they go for it. Most Cesar from my opponent though, so they go ahead and go for the High Strung Lieutenant here. Liaison, sorry, not Lieutenant. And they just go for a whiteboard. I guess they save that evil point here, which is fine. We can use Heart to Night Song here to clear their board, and then we just go ahead and use Bittersweet Departures here, heal up, ping them for a bit, and just sort of tide ourselves over until we can drop Shakudoh. There's a Cesar from my opponent. We do open up my opponent to coin Erika. If they spam Erika or rather Mars, and then combo it into Gildara plus Bunny and Baron, we probably can't heal out of range of that, but that requires them to have a basically perfect hand, so I just sort of hope they didn't, and they didn't, which is good for me. So go ahead and just pick out our Kaketsume Itsurugi here. And then just, I guess, draw our followers from the deck here, and then just go ahead and use Shamnacha to... We steal the knight here to make sure that we can play it to get it out of our pool. We don't really have a use for Cesar anyway, since we don't have sword followers in our deck, and we don't want to spend a super evil point on Cesar anyway. So just pick up the steel clad knight here, just get it out of our hand quickly so that we can maximize the chance of Shakudoh popping off. And there's the Mars that we were a bit worried about. They will full clear and hit me in the face for quite a bit of damage here, but we will just be able to heal it off. Got the steel clad knight here, and then use the Itsurugi and Taketsumi to heal. And we'll go ahead and draw into our deck and recover some play points. Tyrannical Fist is a nice pickup here. We can just go ahead and use that chip damage. Try to put them within lethal range. If they had a more aggressive play, and then we were much lower right now, we could just go for a Hail Mary Shakudoh next time. But since we are fairly safe, I decided to just not go for Shakudoh here. But yeah, in case you're wondering what I had done if they went for a much more aggressive play than the relatively slow moves that my opponent did the last few turns, I would have just went for Shakudoh and gambled, I suppose. But since we are relatively safe here, we can go for a more reliable method, which is just to go for Itsuri and Taketsumi here to just thin out the non-2 or 3 cost cards in our deck here, as well as chip them down. Maybe if we're lucky, we don't even need to rely on Shakudoh to win the game here. Sword doesn't run much healing, so honestly, you can generally probably win the game off Itsuri and Taketsumi without having to rely on Shakudoh, unless your opponent... yeah, unless you're in a pinch, I don't really think it's necessary to drop Shakudoh just to gamble. So yeah, we can go ahead and just finish them off Itsuri and Taketsumi here. So that's it for this game. Our last game here is against Porto, and we are going second against Porto. I think Egg is quite manageable as a matchup, so it's more reasonable to mulligan for the artifact matchup, which means we keep early game board clear cards, so we keep Wills United here. It's a bit risky to keep stuff like Wills United that doesn't draw into your deck without seeing Shamnacha in hand, but since we are castle, I figured we have enough card draw to afford it. And we do end up top decking a Shamnacha here, which is quite nice. Opponent drops Cool Career here, so this is probably going to be an artifact or a more aggressive deck, so I guess good thing we kept all this early game. Can go ahead and use Wills United to clear that. Opponent drops Lazuli here, which is quite a weak turn from them, which is good because we can use Screaming and Loading to draw into our deck while clearing it. Draw a 3 cost here, let's see what we can pick up. Bittersweet Departures isn't really great, but you know, it's better than nothing, I guess. But then goes for Radiant here, which will go ahead and deal a bit of damage to us, which is fine. I use Devotee to clear this. And go ahead and draw into our deck as well. Once again, we are just working on getting our mode or not taking too much damage in early game. Porto has much more late game damage than Sword, I feel. So against Porto, it's a bit more important to make sure you don't take too much damage in the early game. We just have to watch out for that, I suppose. Go ahead and draw into our deck here, and then just use a Devotee to clear. And we can evolve to get the mode count up as well. One goes for their Imari turn here, which is quite annoying. We don't really have a good way to answer Imari, but we can try, I guess. One plays Journey ahead here, which is a pretty interesting card, I guess. They are able to recover evil points here. Congregant can full clear this, but I figured that it's probably better to just get Shamnacha active while we can. Thankfully, we do hit that 2 in 3 chance here, which allows us to full clear. Worst case, we leave 1 body on board, which isn't really great, but I guess it's not too bad. Go ahead and clear here. Got the Imari. Honestly, I'm not even sure the Imari is that good. Maybe Little Buddy would have been better. But I guess Imari can help us find spells, so maybe that's good. Wanna go for the Camisilla here, which is fine. We have Itsurugi and Taketsumi. Actually, this is quite annoying because we have to use Itsurugi and Taketsumi to clear this. Which makes our next turn quite weak since we don't have the second copy in hand right now. So if they draw a second Camisilla, I might actually be in a bit of trouble. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and draw into our deck here. We have 3 times to drop Imari. It's hard to use Gildan Elise here because we don't have Evo points anyway, so we just toss Gildan Elise here and just try to pick up more spells like Depletive Outside. Hopefully we can recover him Evo points, which gives us more breathing room to work with. I'm just gonna send Skylar into my face here for some damage here. Which, I guess it hurts. Thankfully, it's a fairly weak turn, relatively speaking, which means that we can take this time to sort of try to gather resources. Go ahead and use our cards here to clear Skylar while healing and drawing. Pick out our second Itsurugi as well so that we can next turn over. And we just reanimate just to put a bit more presence on board for them to deal with. There's the Asher and Lydia, which will allow them to do some damage to my face here. If I don't heal, I will die to a second one, but of course we are just gonna use Itsurugi and Taketsumi to heal, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and evolve as well to draw into our deck. Take out Tyrannical Fist here, which we'll use to chip damage to hopefully look for a Shakudoh finish next turn. Or if they leave too many followers on board, we don't even need to use Shakudoh with these Arcanine songs in hand. My opponent will go for their Imari here, and they're running Warp Slash, which allows them to fairly cleanly answer my Lyrias, unfortunately. So this turn is... I think I probably misplayed here, but I'm not sure how big of a misplay it actually is. I went Shakudoh here. As you can see here, I went Shakudoh. And then I end up missing like all of them besides what I managed to get one Shakudoh proc here out of all my Shakudoh procs, which is quite unlucky of course, but it's also not that low of a probability considering I believe I think we get this animation to play out. We have one Taketsumi and Itsurugi, and then we have both Supplicants and one Congregant in our deck right now, so it's actually not that high, like not that low for us to whiff this many Shakudohs. So arguably, it would have been better to just clear their board while chipping damage face and look for Shakudoh next turn instead, because if we go Shakudoh this turn, there is a good chance, there is like a non-zero chance we whiff every Shakudoh. If we whiff every Shakudoh here, we die to Scarlet next turn. Because we're at 10, we just barely survive Scarlet right now. Or basically, we just barely survive anything besides if they're running Dogged 1, I guess. So that means that we would have been safe if we just cleared board while chipping damage and look for Shakudoh next turn instead. But I guess I went Shakudoh here, and in the end, my opponent does manage to survive here. As I said, as long as we clear that board, we are probably still not dead yet. But yeah, just a bit of a thing for consideration, I guess. I'm gonna go for Camisilla here, which is good for us. That means we don't die, and since they don't heal, we have Heart of Night Song, or we have Itsurugi in hand to win the game. Yeah, that's it for this game. So those are all the games I have for you today. Hopefully it gave you some idea of how this deck works. Mode in general just isn't very strong right now because of how inconsistent it is in general to get mode the Shamnacha effect active. First of all, you only have 3 copies of Shamnacha with no good way to search her. And second of all, even if you do manage to search her, without a Devotee and Supplicant, it's very hard to get your mode, and of course Castle as well. It's very hard to get your mode count active fast enough, and there's a lot of fast decks right now because of the fact that Dragon is strong. And because there's a lot of fast decks, there is a lot of decks that will kill us in the early game, so yeah. And also this deck kind of dies the Dragon as well, so there's that. But you know, overall not too bad either. I managed to maintain Diamond group while playing this deck, so it's not that bad even with my not very good playing skills. So yeah, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.